Hey guys,
Welcome back.
to the On the Record podcast.
On today's episode, on a true crime segment, we'll be talking about the murder of Sarah Everard, which took place on the 3rd of March 2021.
And then moving forward, we're going to speak about the death penalty and why it should or shouldn't be allowed.
Perhaps the most significant murder case of recent times and shocking crime that is set to change policing forever. 33-year-old Sarah Everard was kidnapped, raped, and murdered on the 3rd of March.
Sarah's murderer was an off duty Metropolitan Police Officer, Wayne Cousins, who used his position to gain her trust before taking her life.
Sarah's murderer sparked outrage across the country and opened a debate about the role of the police in British society and women's safety. So this is quite an interesting case because obviously the woman was quite young when it happened.
And the police are here to be trusted, but should that or should that not be a thing?
Obviously, it's quite scary because police officers are meant to be someone you trust, but when something like this happens, it's quite scary because you kind of question it and
You
like
don't know who you can trust.
exactly. And obviously, he was an off-duty police officer, and obviously, it said he gained her trust. So the debate about the role. Do you want to stop it?
Should it be a thing that psychological lie detector tests should be done before you become a police constable to like test whether you're a bad person or if you have like ulterior motive?
Is that crime something you think about for a long time, or is it just something that happens in the moment? Sarah's murderer had pleaded guilty to her murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a whole life order on the 30th of September.
This sparks the question of whether he should have received a death penalty instead and why the death penalty isn't available in the UK.
Exactly. And do we think that like life imprisonment has the same effects of the death penalty? Because you're kind of like locking your life up away anyways.
Yeah, some may say that because they're stuck in prison, it's even worse because they have other criminals around them they have to live around, especially like rapists, murderers, like just bullies. And people will like get into fights in prisons for no reason just because they're bored.
I think there's also an argument that like when people like criminals who actually go into jail, they get worse because they're surrounded by criminals. They would learn things. So say if you're a gang member and you go like, okay, say you're a gang member and then you go there, meet more gang members, you kind of like pick up to like,
you'll get
their kind of lifestyle and what they do, and like you kind of learn more things.
They'll make an impression on you.
So it's an interesting one.
Now moving on to the main topic, we're going to speak about the death penalty.
The death penalty is a very controversial topic, I think.
It is. It's very overused, but I feel like for the first episode, we can talk about something that more people will know more about, and then we can go into more stuff.
Exactly. I feel like the death penalty like sparks a lot of questions. So the question we have here is, can the death penalty ever be justified, or is it inherently immoral?
Yeah. The first point that I've got is overcrowding in prison and how by eliminating the worst prisoners, like the rapists, the child rapists, the murderers, serial killers, that removes overcrowding in prisons, making room for people who still need to go to prison. But sometimes they let lesser crimes go because there's no room in prisons, like theft. They'll leave them, like the charge for theft is 3 months. So like they'll let a lesser criminal go even though they may have stolen something like of big importance, even though it's one count.
So you're arguing to have the death penalty due to like overcrowding?
Yes.
And so criminals being like about on the streets because there's no space for them in. And that's a fair point because but do we then think that like people who steal, they should be locked up?
I think depending on what you steal, because if you steal like a t-shirt from Primark,
no, I don't think we can say that. We can't encourage it.
I think you should be fined. It should go on your criminal record, but maybe not prison.
Exactly. Also, like, I think in my opinion that like more crime, like say if there's no room for like actual criminals, say like someone who's committed like attempt or like manslaughter or something, murder.
They won't be inclined to go through with like the court case and like find out more about it because they just can't be asked.
And I think there's also like this thing of like people being let out early.
Yeah.
Of that, and I don't
for
think
good behavior.
Exactly. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, if you've committed a crime, and you're not serving your full sentence, then, and also people could just do it as an act. Like you could have good behavior as an act just to get out early. So
yeah, and there is corruption in like the prison system as well.
Yeah, exactly. One of the points I have is risk of wrongful conviction. So this is innocent people have been sentenced to death due to errors in the justice system. So what is one to do when they've wrongfully been accused and have to now face the death penalty?
I feel like with the death penalty, it isn't like taken lightly. Like there's a lot of investigation about the crime, and you have to be beyond a reasonable doubt sure that that person did that crime. Like you have to be caught in the act, or there has to be enough proof that you did it. Will there be witnesses?
I think once someone is executed, there's no way of coming back from that.
Yeah, like that's the final straw.
Exactly.
But I feel like it can be used effectively in some ways, like depending which criminal. Like maybe not on people who like you're not sure if they did the crime, but if you are sure there is proof, you caught them in the act, then I think it should be a valid use of the death penalty.
Do you want to say your next point?
I put that it shows like compensation and peace of mind for the victim's family if it is a murder or like child rape or something.
Yeah.
Like it gives the family peace that that person may not come back for them, because sometimes criminals do threaten that they will come back because they have been put in prison, they've been given all this stuff, fines, and then they come back because they're let out early on good behavior.
I think like crimes like that take a very big emotional toll on people. So I think like knowing that that person will never come back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm not saying, but it's kind of like peace of mind.
Yeah. Like imagine your mother if like you died. Like you could use the eye for an eye, and like especially parents, more Western culture.
I think that quote is used to justify it a lot because it is obviously like a religious thing, which is a quote, an eye for an eye, which basically means
if you kill someone, you should be killed. Like you
have that right. Basically.
You should be taken into account for what you have done. You shouldn't just be put into prison because that person is dead.
And an eye for an eye, taking someone's life and you then being put into prison, is that the same as, does that make sense? Like, that's not the same things. They're two very different. Yeah,
their life has ended. Exactly. People do argue that putting into prison is worse than being killed, like being put on death row. But that person is still dead.
Exactly. And some like prisons are kind of lavish.
Yeah, like, especially if you're rich.
And I feel like prisons in the UK as well, they're not that bad. Like I've seen people with TVs and like they like can smuggle things in there. So
they do smuggle things in
how
there.
How are you to say someone that's gonna spend life imprisonment are gonna have a bad life? Because they might not.
Yeah.
The next point I have is, this is like a very like oppositional to the point you just said. It said, many people see the death penalty as a violation of the right to life. And this is protected by international human rights agreement. So what do we think about that?
I think I'm going to go on with the eye for an eye point. If they killed someone, do they deserve to have that life?
I think also like some people do make mistakes. I'm not saying that every murderer has made a mistake, but in some people's like lives, they will regret what they did. And obviously like these human rights are for like every single person, and a right to a life is very important. That's like you being able to like have experiences in life and just have a life basically. But also I get the point where it's like you took away another person's life. So what gives you the right to have a life, right?
Exactly. Like you can speak about like accidents. Like if you're driving in your car if a bike rider turns left and dives in front of the car, technically it's always going to be the car driver's fault in any situation with a bike driver. It's never going to be the cyclist's fault because like you have more power in the car and they're really exposed in their bicycle.
Yeah.
But if it's the cyclist's fault that they dived into the road, why should the car driver be liable for murder or maybe involuntary manslaughter?
Yeah.
My final point will be on the matter of public safety and how it clears the streets of murderers and rapists and thieves.
So it's basically like just kind of keeping everyone safe from that.
Yeah. And it's like keeping them away. Like they can't do another crime if they are dead. But if you get let out, nothing stops that criminal from committing another crime.
Because like if you look at serial killers, they've killed so many people, and that's like consistently. So that could have been avoided, right? Like
yeah. Because sometimes they even find the serial killers, but they're like they escape somehow.
Did Jeffrey Dahmer, did he get the death penalty?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
I'm not too educated on Jeffrey Dahmer, so don't fact check me on that.
We were talking about serial killers, so that was just something that came into mind.
Stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah. Okay, my final point is failure to deter crimes. So studies have shown that the death penalty does not effectively deter crimes more than life imprisonment.
I think that that's debatable. And most of society does not commit crimes, at least major crimes. Like most people won't even think about committing murder or killing someone. That's the same thing. I feel like that's a deterrent. The fact that you have the death penalty like right there, that you can die.
Yeah, that's true actually. People knowing that, they wouldn't go out and do that. Does that make sense? But yeah, wait. I think that the criminals which then go on to go to prison, over there they have the opportunity to have rehabilitation. And I feel like that's really important because they can then understand what they're doing and like why it's wrong and stuff.
Yeah. But again, the death penalty isn't like an immediate thing that people go to. Like there's months before they do that. And then if they think that there could be a chance of them changing, then I feel like they would take that chance.
I feel like there is a very like psychological aspect to like murder because obviously that's not something someone would do like on a daily basis. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think maybe having rehabilitation in prison is important because then you'll understand like it's kind of like therapy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You like are understanding your actions and like from then you can maybe like try make amends. Obviously I'm not saying that the like victim's family or friends will forgive you, but it kind of gives you a chance to make up for it.
On that psychology point, I feel like loads of murderers and serial killers spring off these like psychological urges from things that happen in their childhood.
Yeah.
Like whether their parents were abusive or they were in foster care.
And I think that's something that we'll look at more in like another episode because like I feel like that is very important.
It's a very important thing to think about because many things can drive the urge to kill.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for listening to our first episode
of On the Record.
Stay tuned for more.
Bye guys.